A new idea is flowing through the halls of corporate boardrooms. The concept is corporate social responsibility, CSR. It's the idea that Milton Friedman was wrong. The corporation should not focus on maximizing in a sustainable way the profits of the shareholders. Rather, the corporation, as the powerful, influential group, should address all the societal problems: pollution, human rights, labor safety, war, pollution, everything. It's a very bad idea to divert the specialized institution of the corporation to these generalized functions of society. It's something that is silly, it's foolish. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Milton Friedman, in a number of profound articles, pointed out that the creation of the modern corporation, a specialized institution to create goods and services in one part of the economy, to do that well, not to try to do everything, was a critical way of creating wealth and knowledge, which since the Industrial Revolution has made the world so incredibly prosperous. Corporate social responsibility advocates recognize that, but think if the institution could do so many things well, why can't it do everything? They would assign it responsibility for addressing all of societal concerns: human rights, sexism, discrimination, war, pollution. That is a very bad idea. Let's discuss why. First, the corporation executives, the ones who would be making these decisions for all of us, were not elected as sociologists, as social workers. They were elected because of their knowledge about one part, an important part of the economy, and to do that part well. If they're assigned responsibilities for areas outside their competency, the risk is they'll do nothing very well. It'll divert them from their key competency, which is running a corporation. Secondarily, the corporation today has a metric. It tries to ensure that its overall operations increase profits in a sustainable way. As Milton Friedman pointed out, that of course requires that it pay attention to its customers. Without sales, no corporation long survive. But of course, it must also pay attention to its workers. An unhappy, disgruntled, at-risk workforce is unlikely to achieve the productivity gains essential for sustainable profits. It must pay attention to its suppliers. The company that is careless with its suppliers, not a reliable customer, soon finds itself losing out. When supplies are tight, it becomes at the bottom of the list and finds itself short because it has been a bad customer to its suppliers. It has to be responsible to those groups also. And of course, it must be responsible to its shareholders. Without the capital to grow, to invest, it will have no potential to become the successful corporation, a sustainably profitable corporation. And finally, it must also even be considerate of its fence post neighbors, the people around its facilities, its plants, its offices, because those people are the neighbors of its workers. And if the company is considered a pariah industry, if the company is considered something distasteful, then in fact its workers will be working in a hostile environment, and that will affect the worker productivity. So the corporation does have an extended shareholder group, the people with whom it enjoys a win-win situation, and working with those groups in a responsible way is certainly part of sustainable profitability. But the CSR advocates go further. What about pollution? What about the hungry and the diseased in Africa? What about discrimination that still exists in parts of the world? What does a corporation know about those issues, and isn't it already doing whatever can be done useful about those? The company that discriminates against the productive worker, whether they're women, whether they're a religious minority, whether they're of another racial group, is a company that has taxed itself, denying itself the talents, the customers that it could achieve if it were more open, more tolerant to diversity. The companies that are tolerant benefit, prosper, are more profitable than the companies that discriminate. Markets already push mankind in a way that is more moral, more responsible. Can government do better than that? Can a CSR who second guesses all these issues do better? The evidence suggests not. The data is overwhelming that CSR companies do no better and sometimes do worse than companies that focus like Razor Edge on their one goal of trying to maintain profitability in a very competitive world. Those in the CSR world would do well to recognize that when you put a political mission to a economic entity, you run a great risk of contaminating the whole enterprise, creating the type of crony capitalism that has done so much to corrupt both our political institutions and to discredit the legitimate aims of capitalism. CSR is one of those many attractive ideas, a shortcut to making a better world. The corporation does not do everything, but what it does very, very well, allowing it to focus on that, and then allowing the resources that the corporation creates to diffuse through the various activities, the various groups it interacts with, its workers, its suppliers, its customers, its fence post neighbors, its shareholders, and allow them to pursue the moral goals that that diverse population is better able to do. A set of goals that is much more diverse than what a handful of CEOs could do is a vastly better way of creating a more moral world. CSR is not going to create a moral world. It will create an irresponsible corporation. The corporate social responsibility is inherently irresponsible.